Hey guys, good evening. It is Sunday, August 14th, 9:45 p.m. New York time. Hope you all have had a good weekend. And just a quick look at a couple of things I wanted to show you guys. Trying to be a little bit specific here. So I'm going to bring up the yen pairs here. Now, on Friday, this past Friday, we saw some negative US dollar news that came out on Friday. So let me just bring that up really quick here. So, no, that's the wrong week. I'm sorry, guys. This was the 12th. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So we had this US dollar news came out on Friday. You can see it was negative all across the board for retail sales, PPI, core retail sales, and then we had preliminary UOM consumer sentiment, all negative. And we did see the dollar suffer. And in response to that, we also saw the yen crosses go down. And that's because, very typical, that when the dollar does poorly, people look for places to put their money. And even though the yen is relatively weak right now as well, it's actually considered a safe haven when the dollar's not doing well. So we saw money flow into the yen, and we saw all the yen crosses sell off on Friday. So this is the 20-minute chart of the CAD yen, but they all pretty much look like this. This is a 20-minute chart. This is when the news came out up here, and you can see this big sell-off. So I went short up here when this news came out. I did end up closing these on Friday, although I could have certainly have left them open because you can see what's going on now. This is a correction, and this is going to go down again. Okay, so again, this is the 20-minute chart. If you go to the 1 hour, you can still kind of see it here. But the lower you go down here, you can see some detail. So one way to do this, you can just put a trend line under here, and then you could go short anytime in here, and if you're willing to withstand a little drawdown. But if you wanted a more conservative approach, you could wait till this trend line is broke, take out the most recent low, and then go short. So that's the way it looks on pairs like Euro yen, Canadian yen, US yen, Aussie yen, Swiss yen. It's not as clear on the Kiwi yen, but it's probably the same thing. Pound yen is actually going up. I may avoid the pound yen for other reasons. So keep an eye out for some potential shorts on these yen crosses, okay? Because there will be shorts to be had there. At least short-term trades here. So if you go down to the 15-minute, you really can't see any wave 2 in here, but this, is probably a wave 3. But this probably will go down and at least take out this low again down here. So even if it went short from here, that's 60 pips. And that's across most of the yen pairs. So be on the lookout, guys, for yen shorts to start off the week. And we did just have some yen news come out today, actually, a couple of hours ago, which I'll bring up here. My connection's a little slow. So we had preliminary GDP come out pretty much flat for the yen, which was below forecast. So that actually caused the yen to weaken and caused these corrections to continue up. But those will run out of steam, and we will see this go back down. And you can see the CCI. This is another indicator, a multi-period CCI here going up. And this is, when it went down compressed here, this is impulsive. When it's going up spread apart like this, that's a correction. So this compresses and crosses back down again. That will be another signal to confirm that it's going back down again. Okay? So we may have, a few more waves up. Right now it looks like it wants to go down again, but it doesn't mean it's going to. Same thing with this pair. You may want to, conservatively wait for it to take out, one of these lows here, and then potentially go short. If you want to be more aggressive, you certainly could enter now, as long as you have some willingness to deal with some drawdown. But anything below probably 101.20 on this US yen would probably be a place to look at. So we'll see here when it hits this trend line. Does it bounce or does it keep going? Now, I may not do anything until the London session tomorrow morning. This may just continue to walk up this trend line overnight here during the Asian session. Maybe during the London session, we'll see it sell off tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Just looking at a couple of other things on the docket for this week. We have British pound news pretty much every day except tomorrow. We have CPI on Tuesday. We have, this is big on Wednesday, average earnings, claimant count, unemployment rate on Wednesday. Retail sales on Thursday. And then there is public sector net borrowing on Friday. That's probably not as important. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday especially, and Thursday, I guess, that's the meat of the pound news. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll just look at the patterns here really fast for the pound. Wait for these to load. I think the pound pairs are ready to turn and go back up. If we look at things like pound Aussie, and the Aussie dollar looks like it's turned to the downside. And so I definitely could foresee, you can see here, this is the pound Aussie on the daily chart. We may have a trend already finished here. Now this may go down one more time. This is the daily chart. If this is the wave 5 right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it may go down a little bit more over the next day or so. But I would expect that we're going to turn higher. So be on the lookout with the pound, especially pairs like the pound Aussie to go up. Pound Kiwi, let's just get all these labels off of here. Again, same thing here. I think maybe we'll go down again, but this might be ready for a turn. This is probably a wave 5 in place, and this is the daily chart. So, be careful if you're short the British pound, because I think this might be running out of steam. I'm not saying it's not going to go down a little bit more, but all these pound pairs are set up for potential falls. Pound yen. Now again, I expect the yen pairs to go down again, so I certainly wouldn't. Certainly would not go long on the pound yen at this time. I think this will go down again. Pound Swiss, same idea, ready to turn. Again, daily chart. Same thing here. Pound Canadian. Again, I think these will go down again, but then I think they're going to turn. So. And based on the news that's coming out this week on the British pound, certainly any of these things might turn it. Okay, so keep an eye on that for the pound. Okay, really quick here, I want to look at the Aussie. So you notice, and I did not see this on Friday because I was looking at the yen crosses. We've been expecting to see the Aussie dollar turn down. Now, of course, the US dollar is weak right now, so this may or may not hold. But we've been waiting for this to turn. This has been, really, looks to be pretty corrective here for a couple of months now on the Aussie dollar. And of course, every time we think it's going to turn and go down, it turns back up. We thought we had it here, and then it reached a bottom here, and it went back up again. So we put a trend line on this, which I didn't. This might be a good place to look. Now again, if you're an aggressive trader, you may want to look at going short now, and you could, even if you just play it back to this trend line, you could probably pick up some pips. It's about 80 pips to the trend line. So, but A longer term play would be if it breaks this trend line, then this has got a long way to go down. So keep an eye on the Aussie. Again, with the dollar being weak right now, I'm not quite sold on this yet, but it's going to depend on what the Aussie itself does. And back to the calendar again. We have Aussie monetary policy minutes coming out tomorrow night, about 24 hours from now, that could potentially provide a setup. And we don't really have any. And then we have Aussie news on Wednesday night. This is a big one. Employment change and unemployment rate. So the monetary policy minutes may or may not do anything, but I would circle Wednesday night and see what this pair is looking like come then. What we might see at that point is, if the Aussie really is going to break, we may see a correction up, and then the news comes out Wednesday and we'll see a break. So keep an eye on the Aussie. I'm not saying this correction's over. It's been a very strong correction, moving up here and holding this trend line. But I do think that it's going to be over soon, and I will be looking for an opportunity to go short. Not on the daily chart. If we go down to a lower time frame, we can see this going down. Perhaps we're in a wave 3 right now. I'm not sure, but we did break this smaller trend line right here that I drew in, but this larger one has not been broken yet. But this one has, and so I do think in the short term we'll see this go down, and but I would keep an eye on it with the Aussie news. And this larger trend line is the one I'll be watching more carefully. So I'm not saying I'm going to be jumping in right now, but I'll be keeping an eye on it. And perhaps when that negative news comes out, we'll see the pound Aussie turn higher too, in reaction. So what else do we have? So for news, we've also got Kiwi news on Tuesday. This is going to be big employment news. You also have the GDT. This is the dairy price, comes out on Tuesday. Of course, there's no set time for this. It usually comes out somewhere between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. New York time. So wherever that is in where you're listening to this, you have to figure that out. But Eastern time zone, that's usually comes out. There's no forecast on this, so it was 6.6% increase in the previous report. But this can be a mover. However, given this number coming out later in the day, I would expect that GDT, especially if it comes out somewhat reasonable, may or may not have any effect. It might just be a short-term move, but the market will, I think, will be watching for this stuff. So I'll be looking at the Kiwi pairs heading into the news on Tuesday for sure. We already talked about the Aussie news and the pound news. And then to round out the week, we'll have Canadian news on Friday, core CPI and retail sales. That'll be important. So too early really to look at that right now. I'm just right now in the very short term, I am watching dollar pairs, yen pairs, pound pairs, Aussie, a little bit at the beginning of the week, but certainly more come at the middle of the week. We also have dollar news coming on Tuesday. Building permits, CPI, core CPI. The CPI, I think especially, will be important. This may or may not reverse the direction on the dollar. They're expecting flat to worse numbers on CPI, so we'll have to see what the patterns look like then. So again, guys, just to reinforce, personally, I do not trade news. I trade Elliott wave patterns, but I just use the news to help me with timing of entries and exits, because I believe that most of what we see in the market is already built into what you see on the patterns. So the news has already pretty much been built into this. So it's just a matter of looking at patterns and choosing the pairs that look like they're ready to turn, either to end a correction or end a trend, being able to recognize that and jumping in either at the time the news comes out or maybe before. If I'm really convinced about something, I will get in right before it comes out, because a lot of times if it comes out very strong, the price moves so fast that you'll get a bad fill, and then it really can not be good. You leave a lot of pips sitting there because it moves so fast you can't even get a fill. But if you put in, either get in soon, before the news comes out, maybe I'll set a pending order. But even a pending order, again, you're still reliant on getting a fill, and depending on the liquidity, your target price for filling the order could get moved by your broker instantaneously. So depending what the liquidity is at the time. So, but like I said, I think the the belief and the psychology against where the trends are going, or where the price is going of a certain currency, is built into these patterns, and so the news just helps you with your timing. But I don't get into a trade just based on a news release, because a news release could come out positive, but the pair could move the other way. Or maybe it moves in the direction of the news for a brief time, and then it turns around and goes the other way. And that is all based on the patterns. So if we had negative Aussie news come out here, this pair might go down. This is the Aussie yen, but it may not go that far because this trend might be over. This looks like a wave 4 to me. It'll go down a little bit, and then the trend will end, and it'll correct back up. It doesn't mean it won't go down again, but there'll be a substantial correction. So just because that news comes out, yes, you can go short, but it doesn't mean it's going to be long-lived. And you're not trading just based on that. You're trading on the pattern. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. But anyways, guys, if you have any questions, I'm trying to just skim and not go through a lot of pairs, just talking in general. But those are the things I'd be looking for this week. And I'll try to make a couple of videos. But if you have any questions, leave a comment. If you're in Skype, for my Skype friends, you can leave me questions in there too. Alright guys, so I hope you have a great trading week. Again, make your own decisions. Don't base any trades on anything that I say on these videos. It's just my observation. I'm just one person. Use your own system, your own risk management, your own analysis, and do the best you can. Okay guys, so just keep that in mind. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you all soon.